Hello everybody and welcome back to Cooking with Johnny B. Today we're going to be making a really fun appetizer slash side dish. We're going to be making deviled eggs in the Instant Pot. Now obviously we're going to be doing hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot and then coming up with a really good recipe that's delicious and a few little tricks to show you how to make them look pretty too. So let's start out with the things you're going to need to make deviled eggs. Now, what I've done is I've taken these eggs. I have 6 of them. You can do as many as you want in the Instant Pot, but we're just going to do 6 for this particular episode. And you want them to be at room temperature before you start cooking them. So I've had these sitting out for about an hour or so. You're going to need good quality mayonnaise. I like to use avocado mayonnaise. So just a dash of mustard and a little bit of lemon juice. So these are the things we're going to need as we go ahead and make these deviled eggs. So the method that I'm going to be using to make deviled eggs is the 2-15-15 method. Now there are a lot of other different ways. You can do a 5-5-5, a 6-6-6, lots of different ways to do deviled eggs or hard-boiled eggs in a pressure pot. I prefer to do the 2-15-15 method. That means 2 minutes under pressure, 15-minute natural release, and 15 minutes in the water to get them to stop cooking. So let's start by taking your little steamer pan. Now this one has a trivet in it to keep the water from touching the eggs on the bottom. So we're just going to put in all 6 eggs right into the steamer basket. And then we're going to use exactly 1 cup of water. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that when you have a 6-quart Instant Pot, you want to use 1 cup of water because you don't want the eggs to overcook. We know that with 1 cup of water, how long it's going to take this particular dish to come to pressure. Now, if you have a 8-quart version of the Instant Pot, you want to use 1.5 cups of water. So we've got this ready to go. We're going to put the lid on here. And we're going to set this for 2 minutes. So we're going to hit pressure cook and we're going to go down to 2 minutes. We're going to let this go, and as soon as we're stopped touching the pad, it's going to say on and it'll start cooking. There it goes. So now we have to wait for it to come up to pressure. There'll be 2 minutes and then a 15-minute release before we open it up. Okay, now you can see from the timer that we have reached pressure, and so now it's time for us to wait 2 minutes plus 15. So once the 2-minute timer on the Instant Pot goes to 0, then you'll see an L that shows up, and then it will start counting up. So once we get to the L15 on the Instant Pot, we know it's time to open it up and put the eggs into our ice water. Eggs are done cooking under pressure, and now it's just going to do the release. So we've got 15 minutes, and once it reaches L15, eggs go in the ice bath. Okay, so we're getting really close. We're almost at the 15-minute mark, and as soon as it turns to 15, I'm going to open up the lid, and I'm going to put the eggs in this ice bath. So here we go. It's 15 minutes. You notice that the pin is already dropped. We always open the unit so that the steam goes away from you. And we want these eggs to stop cooking, so we're going to put them in this ice bath. And it kind of ran out of ice, so I've got a few little ice packs that I got in there. It'll do the job. So the next thing we do is we wait for 15 minutes for it to set in the ice. And once it's done with that, it's time to peel the eggs. So now it's been 15 minutes, and it's time to take our eggs out, dry them off a little bit, and we're going to crack them. Take the shells off. I'll show you the method that I use. I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of different methods, but the method that I like to use involves kind of tapping both ends, rolling it onto the hard surface to give it a little crack, and then just peeling the eggs off. So I like to kind of keep this water around because what I'll do is I like to kind of rinse the eggs off to make sure there's no shell residue. So let's see, let's just start here by taking one egg, tapping the top and the bottom, and then we're just kind of roll back and forth, and then we peel off the peel. This generally comes off nice and easy. You can see with the pressure cooker method, these shells come off really, really easy. Just kind of almost jumps off at you. There's your egg. So there's one. And I'll go through, I'll do these kind of in fast motion here. And we'll, Alexa, stop the timer. I'll do these kind of in fast motion so that you can see what I'm doing, but you don't have to be bored with watching each individual egg. You can just see, I'll just show you this one too. See how easy these shells just pop right off. All right, so we're going to set up a little assembly station here. Let's just take the first egg, and we're going to cut it right down the middle with a sharp knife. And you can see, look at the yolk on that. There's no ring, dark ring around the yolk. That means that these are cooked just perfectly. We just want to pop the yolks out into that separate bowl and then go again. Look how pretty those are. All right, so now we're going to set these egg whites aside while we make the deviled yolks. Now this part is a little bit more art than it is science. So normally what I do is I have fork and a spoon, and the spoon is what I use to put the mayonnaise in. This is going to be all based on a texture that you prefer. I prefer mine to have quite a bit of fat in them, so I'm going to use a nice amount of mayonnaise. So let's see what this looks like to start with. You want to make sure that these are thoroughly mashed. You don't want little chunks. You want this to be really creamy for when you insert it back into your little eggshells. So I can tell already that this is going to need a little bit more mayonnaise because it's not quite as creamy as I would like. So I'll take another little dollop here, stick it in there, and keep stirring. One of the methods that I use is I use a piping bag for this. And this is so easy to do because I make my own. You just put this into a Ziploc bag and you cut a corner off of it and away you go. So I'm going to put just a dollop of mustard in here. Not much, just a little bit for a taste. That's about right. It just gives it a little zing. And some people like to use like a brown mustard. I just use regular yellow mustard. That gives it a little bit of a different flavor. And now it's time to put in a little lemon juice. So I don't use much. I use just enough to get a little acidity in there. So I'm just going to squeeze this kind of into my hand to make sure no seeds go in there. And this would, you can also use apple cider vinegar. If you use apple cider vinegar, use less than a capful. You just want a little bit of acidic flavor to go in with this. Not much. Okay, now we're just going to whip this all together and smooth out all those bumps. So let me get the Ziploc bag here. And on a order that's this small, we only have 12 halves or 6 total. That means there's only 6 yolks in here. I can use the quart size. So I just take a spatula and I start putting all of the yolks that have been deviled into the plastic bag. Make sure that I get all of this creamy goodness in there. These are going to taste spectacular. I can already tell. They smell great already. Okay, so now what you have here is a little bag that's basically full of egg yolks, mayonnaise, little mustard, and lemon. Now, let's take this and we're going to just work it around just to make sure that there's no more lumps. This is a really way to make sure everything is really super creamy and it'll be ready for piping. So let me clean up here just a little bit and we'll come back and do the piping. Okay, the next step is to take the piping bag that's full of this deviled egg yolk mix, and we're going to kind of move it down. So I like to use, let me move this over a little so you can see, a spatula to kind of work all of this yolk mixture down to the bottom corner, which is where I snipped it. That way it makes it a whole lot easier to do the piping. Just kind of work it down there. Okay, now let's come back here and I'll show you how easy this is. All right, so we take an egg and see how there's just a little bit coming out, and we're going to kind of squirt it inside there and just kind of circle it around, and there you have it. Isn't that pretty? So we just work all of these the same way. Now, usually I will make sure to go through these and take a little bit of time and not overfill these, but if there's more at the end, you can just keep putting it in. See how easy this is to do? Now, I've seen people use a spoon method where they take a spoon and they, ladle it in with a spoon. This to me just is the easiest, and I think it has the best presentation of any method. But that's just me. You can do it however you'd like. Getting close to the end. Looks like we're going to have just the right amount. And enough for one more. I'm going to squeeze all this down in there. That one's got quite a bit on it, but there you have it. There's a half dozen of deviled eggs, and it really took about 40 minutes from beginning to end. All right, well, this is my favorite part of every video because it's time to taste. And look at these beautiful deviled eggs. These look incredible. Now, if you want, you can sprinkle a little salt and pepper on them, or you can put a little paprika if you like to have a little red kind of presentation, whatever it is that you like. And I've even seen some people go as far as putting a little bit of pickle relish inside of the yolk mixture. Now, for me, I prefer it just like this. So there's nothing to it but for me to taste it. So here we go. Wow. That is so good. That has a little tang from the lemon juice. You can taste the creaminess from the mayo and just a little tiny hint of mustard taste. The egg whites are perfect. Everything was done just as I hoped it would come out. I really can't wait for you to try this at your place. This is a delicious, wonderful appetizer slash side dish that you could be proud to take to any function that you have, or just having them at home, putting them in your fridge and eating them as snacks. These are great for carnivores, by the way. If you're a carnivore eater, make these with either avocado mayonnaise. You can even make it with bacon mayonnaise, which actually is really delicious. Nonetheless, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment for me. I always like reading your comments, and I'll reply back to you. Also, if you like this video, please subscribe. It really helps a lot, and give it a nice thumbs up and share it with a friend. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Cooking with Johnny B. I hope you really enjoyed this recipe, and as I always say, I'll catch you on the next one.